Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this channel. Hope you're doing good. Now, not so long ago, it was alleged that Public Works Minister Dean McPherson was allegedly colluding with journalists to destroy the credibility of Tebogo Malaka, who's the CEO of IDT. And around that time, media personalities, news anchors, and politicians like Herman Mashaba claimed that there was a police case that was opened against Public Works Minister Dean McPherson for allegedly bribing a journalist to slander IDT CEO Tebogo Malaka. Now, today, the very same journalist from Daily Maverick who was accused of trying to tarnish Malaka's name revealed an audio clip and a video footage of Tebogo Malaka and his spokesperson, Pasha Makholwane, trying to bribe him.
How much will it take to make it go away? What's your price? 60,000 Rand? 100,000 Rand? Maybe tenders, hey? In an explosive expose, Daily Maverick writer Peter Louis Myburgh says the suspended Independent Development Trust CEO, Tebogo Malaka, and the entity spokesperson, Pasha Makholwane, offered to pay him bribes to bury an ongoing Daily Maverick investigation. And he has it all on camera, he says. You'll remember, of course, Malaka was suspended following a PwC investigation into that 836 million Rand oxygen plant scandal. The CEO is accused of failing to prevent or act in violations that may have cost the state hundreds of millions of rands. And that story first came to light due to investigative reporting by the Daily Maverick. Peter Louis Myburgh, always a pleasure to welcome you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani. Thanks for having me.
A little earlier on, I played some of the audio that has been shared with us from one of those meetings. But perhaps for background, let's start with how all of this unfolded. You got a WhatsApp?
I did, yes. So this was in early June. I got a WhatsApp from Pasha Makholwane, the IDT spokesperson. And it was quite out of the blue, I must say. At that point, I didn't have any media queries submitted to the IDT for any work that was coming out at that point. But what was happening was that I was looking into a IDT contract that appeared to be linked to a property being built for IDT CEO Tebogo Malaka in Gauteng. So there was this kind of ongoing investigation after my earlier oxygen plants expose the previous year. And it was very clear kind of from the outset, just in the language that Pasha Makholwane, the spokesperson, was using, that it was not going to be a kind of a standard journalist to spokesperson interaction. He was asking for a private meeting. He mentioned phrases and words like mutual interests. And then he also said that if we had a meeting, him and I, it would be in preparation for another meeting where Tebogo Malaka would also be present.
Were your eyebrows raised?
Kind of, very much. It just kind of like very much initially from the get-go, the language and the kind of suggestive language kind of pointed to me or suggested to me that this would not be, a normal discussions between a journalist and a state-owned entity CEO and spokesperson.
Sometimes as an investigative journalist, you may have a sense of wrongdoing at an entity. But did you, in your mind, suspect it would go as far as what you now say happened?
I was skeptical. Look, so like I said, I was immediately, my suspicions were aroused that I think they were kind of softening me up to take money to make a story go away.
All right.
Just because of the language that was being used. So that's why we were prepared, actually, to document what did actually happen.
Let's go back firstly, Peter. Let's go back to that first meeting. What happened there?
Yeah. Well, so at the first meeting with Pasha Makholwane at the same venue, he explained that my reporting on the IDT, the oxygen plants reporting, was doing them a lot of damage. It was harming Tebogo Malaka's reputation, and that he was sure that we could find mutual interests and a mutual way of going forward, doing some more positive reporting on the IDT, and then I could be rewarded for doing so.
How would you be rewarded?
Well, he did mention a 100,000 Rand cash payment, a regular 100,000 Rand cash payment at a time.
So this would be like a retainer?
Yes, And he also said I could bring contractors to the IDT. This is where the real money is. And that my nominated contractors could get IDT tenders, and then, I could get my cut from those tenders.
Gosh, so this was just you and Pasha Maholane, the spokesperson, at that initial meeting?
That's correct, yes.
And was that recorded?
It was not. It was not. But what did happen, we do have a bit of a record of what transpired there, because after that meeting, he did send me a tender document and asked me to distribute it among my contractor contacts.
As if to say, see?
Yes. So there's a tender in play. I can bring contractors, and presumably they would somehow fix it so that my contractors won the tenders.
Do you remember how much that tender, the value of that tender was?
It's a contractor development program for the IDT's Western Cape sort of projects. So it doesn't have a tender value. If you get shortlisted, then you are on a list of contractors that they can procure services from.
You go to your editors with all of this information, and what did they say?
Yeah, so I think very much it was important that, from the very get-go, we do this right. So we briefed them, we briefed our lawyers and another third-party advocate, just to get everything on the record and on paper that, we are going to pursue a meeting with Mr. Tebogo Malaka, and that it's our intention to hopefully document what she would do or offer during such a meeting.
So you set up the sting?
It is probably the best way to describe it, yes. This is a journalistic sting project to expose a public interest issue.
So then, all right, so this is now the second meeting, and at this one, you allege the CEO, Tebogo Malaka, showed up.
Yes, so I'm not alleging. We have the video that we published on Daily Maverick this morning showing Ms. Malaka and the spokesperson putting 60,000 Rand on a table at the restaurant in the Western Cape where we met on Sunday.
This was just days ago?
It was on Sunday, yes.
This past Sunday?
This past Sunday, correct, yeah.
What happened? What did she say? How did we get to the money even coming out of, is it a Dio bag?
It's a white Dior bag stuffed full of 200 Rand notes. So obviously I couldn't count the money there, but they said it was 60,000 Rand. It certainly looked like a substantial wad of cash. I did take a moment, and this is clear on the video that we've now published, I did take a moment to quickly snap it on my cell phone. They were a little bit shocked when I did that, obviously, but I did it nevertheless. So we do have a very clear photo of the money that was also offered to me.
In the audio that I played, she says to you that this has really had a negative impact on her. Her parents are elderly and aging. Her kids have been affected. Please stop this. What were you thinking when you heard those words?
Yeah, look, it's difficult. There's always a human element to the work we do. Absolutely. This is going to be massively disruptive for the affected parties. But there's a larger context. So in the coming days, we are going to release another investigation, and that'll show how hundreds of people, poor South Africans, were on the receiving end of, they were involved in an IDT project and they weren't paid properly. And Ms. Malaka seems to have been very much involved in all of this. And that is the issue that prompted the bribe offer. So, there is her pleas on the one end, but then on the other end, we are also doing this work on behalf of, people who are victims to the likes of, powerful figures like Ms. Malaka.